Welcome to Eternal Elements Learning Podcast brought to you by Chess Online. These podcasts are a part of the audio certificate programs on Chess Online. You're free to take these podcasts on your desired portal also, should you only wish to learn on the go. Thank you so much for engaging on these podcasts, and you can connect with the author on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Hi, this is Niket Karajagi from Eternal Elements. And this is brought to you by Chess Online. And we are now in the podcast where we're talking about how to build ownership and accountability in teams. Now, obviously, when ownership and accountability happens, teams tend to perform exceedingly well. What is ownership all about? Ownership is all about understanding and practicing a behavior where you take end-to-end responsibility of the task. Accountability is, irrespective of whether the task is successful or a failure, you take complete inside-out responsibility of the end result. And that's what ownership and accountability is all about. It is the leader's responsibility to ensure that ownership and accountability is inculcated in every team. It cannot happen on its own. You have to set certain processes. And I'm going to talk about the elements which bring in ownership and accountability. There are 5 clear elements that a leader needs to focus on. The first one is you've got to set precise expectations, which means you've got to set clear-cut understanding of what is it that you expect from each person within the team for the critical tasks that have been identified in the work design. We spoke about work designs in our earlier podcasts. So precise expectations from every particular individual has to be set. Once the expectations are set, obviously the capabilities in that individual must exist. These are the skill sets and the competencies, which are the functional skill sets, and the leadership behaviors, which are competencies, have to be present in the person. But that's an ideal situation. Therefore, a leader has to act as a coach. And what does he do as a coach, or what does she do as a coach? Impart the functional skill sets and the leadership behaviors which will make the person successful. It is all about doing the task and programming the behaviors, and skills are learned as the tasks are done. Now, while the capability is being built in, we also have to understand that the capability must ensure that there is a clear measurement for the expectations that are set. Expectations are the goals, but goals have to be made measurable. And you can't make them measurable unless and until there is a capability associated with it, because the measurement is commensurate with the capability. If the capability does not exist and you set a goal, then that goal is too stretched for that person to achieve. So, you set the expectations, which are the goals, start incorporating the capability, and commensurate with the capability, you put the measurement in control. Because measurement control mechanism is extremely important because it checks for variances and the corrections can be brought in. And how are the corrections brought in? By precise feedback and feed forward. What is the feedback? After the event has occurred, you sit down and do a post-mortem. What is a feed forward? A feed forward is before the event occurs, you tell the person where the pitfalls are, or you tell the person what are the strengths that the person can deploy, and that is predictive, it is preemptive. Therefore, feed forward is much more effective than a feedback. And the last, while all this is going on, you must also tell the person, should there be a failure for achievement of the expectations and the measurements that are set in, what could be the consequences for the organization, for the team, and at an individual level? A lot of times people do not know what are the consequences, and that is the best part. So the leader also defines clearly what the consequences are. So the 5 things that have to be done to ensure that the accountability sets in is precise expectations in terms of goals have to be set. Transfer of skill sets and competencies, which is precise capability, has to be built in the team. And why do we call it precise? Because capability in line with the task is essential. Random capabilities don't work. Set a measurement for the goal. They have to be quantified. do precise feedback and feed forward. And finally, a consequence of both success and failure has to be predetermined and defined for the team. And that's where accountability and ownership happens. Thank you very much. This is Niket Karajagi signing off from Atessa Online and Journal Elements. I'll see you in the next podcast where we will discuss all these 5 elements separately.